Hello, everyone. I'm Courtney Hederman with AARP Illinois. Welcome to the second session of our series, Medicare Matters. Medicare Matters is a partnership where we are bringing you at home the latest, greatest essential information you need to know from one of our most trusted area agencies on aging, AgeGuide of Northeastern Illinois. I'm very happy to introduce our special guest again, Val Guzman. Val is the Benefit Access Specialist at AgeGuide, and he's been working on Medicare issues for many years. He was so wonderful our last session, so we're so happy to have him back. So good day, Val. Thanks for being back with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thanks. So as you might remember, everyone, we thought it would be great to bring this series of Medicare information to you. Medicare gets everyone a bit confused and a little nervous. So we're here to make sure those fears go away and everyone feels really comfortable, or as much as possible. So when you're making decisions, you've got all the information you need and where to find it. So to our audience watching, please feel free to put any questions you have in for Val or for myself into the chat. I'll kick off some questions to get us started, but feel free again to put any questions in the chat. Okay, so remember, this is our second session, and we're going to concentrate on Medicare Part B this time, and the difference between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage plan. So we do have a full agenda this time. So let's just kick it right off. So I think the most logical question, though, to start us off is what is Medicare? We talked about Medicare Part A before, so let's talk about Medicare Part B. So what is Medicare Part B, Val?
So Medicare Part B, that is your medical insurance. So really, I think it covers just the vast majority of what you need Medicare for, because it covers your doctor visits, it covers tests, procedures, basically anything other than inpatient stays in the hospital. So if you remember from our previous video, that all falls under Part A, but Part B, that's more so your day-to-day or your doctor visits. So definitely a big important part of Medicare.
Yeah, all those doctor visits and diagnostic tests and all of that stuff. Yeah, important pieces. Okay, so obviously Part A, a lot of people just automatically think about they're eligible at age 65, and so does someone need to take Part B at the same time? So just on the eligibility side, when is someone eligible for Part B?
So it does follow the same schedule as Part A. So it can be different, but in general, when you turn age 65, you become eligible for Part B. But you can defer that. So if you are still working, or say if your spouse is working and you have insurance through that employer, you can actually opt out of Part B. And usually, most people do opt out because otherwise you'd be paying an extra monthly premium and extra for paying for extra coverage, because usually your Medicare doesn't work all that well with other insurance. So for the most part, same schedule as Medicare Part A when you turn 65, or if people qualify as disabled after those 24 months, then you have the option to sign up for Part B.
Great. Yeah. So, all right. So let's talk about when someone's still working. They're turning 65. They're still working. They have employer-sponsored health care, and they're going to stick with that, whether it's for themselves or through their spouse. But they're not going to take it. What's kind of the golden rule then when they do need it? And what do they need to be prepared for when they do want to make the switch from employer-sponsored healthcare to Medicare?
Yeah, so usually once you know when that coverage is going to end, whether if you have maybe a date in mind that you're going to retire, or that your spouse is going to retire, I would say start to plan as soon as you can, or at least 2 months ahead of time, because there is an enrollment process that you'll have to follow. There's paperwork that you have to fill out, and information that you have to get from your employer. So definitely the earlier the better, or as soon as you know when you're going to lose coverage through that employer, and then actually the agency that handles the enrollment in Medicare is Social Security. So once you're ready, you would either go to the Social Security website, or you can call into your local office, and usually they take appointments to help you enroll in Part B.
Yep, perfect. And so if someone needs to start after the initial sign up, right, and they've decided when they're going to do it, they contact Social Security, right, and they say, okay, I'm ready. What other things, like, are they going to need something from their employer saying, okay, yeah, I've had something, because I don't want to get a penalty, right?
Yes, so there is a specific form that your employer will fill out. I can't remember the exact name of the form, but usually when you initiate the enrollment in Medicare, there is an employment verification form, or you'll get the details about the type of coverage you had while you were employed, and then also as far as when you can sign up. You don't have to wait. If you're losing access to other coverage, you don't have to wait for one of the enrollment periods, or in this case, the general enrollment period with Medicare that normally happens from January to March. Even if you lose coverage in the middle of the year, or maybe later in the year, you will be granted or allowed what they call a special enrollment period. So in general, just know if you have some type of life event, like losing access to your health insurance through your employer, you will be allowed a certain amount of time to sign up.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the cost side, right? Because Medicare Part B has costs. So let's talk about the cost. There's premiums, right? And all sorts of other stuff. So let's talk about that.
Right, and we can look ahead. They just recently announced the cost for 2024. So the premium for Part B is going to cost $174.70. There is also a deductible. This one also did go up a little bit compared to 2023, but it will be $240 next year. And really the other main cost is that once you meet your deductible with Part B, you usually pay about 20% after. And that would be 20% of the Medicare approved amounts. So even if a doctor says that their visit costs $200, if Medicare says it only costs $100, you would pay 20% of that.
Right. So Medicare on average covers like 80%, and an individual is then responsible for the remaining 20, right? That would be a good way to say it.
Right. And that would be if you don't have or didn't enroll in a Medicare supplement plan. But yes, in normal situations, or if you don't have extra coverage, you pay about 20%.
Okay, so perfect timing. So let's talk about those supplemental plans. Like, do people really need one? And where would they find a supplemental plan?
So as far as what if you need one, it really depends on the person. But I think maybe the best way to ask yourself that question, or to know whether it is the right choice, is that so if you remember, Medicare only covers about 80% of the costs, and as far as the 20%, if you don't have other coverage like a supplement, there is really no limit to what you could have to pay. And so what these supplement plans do is that you pay the monthly premium, and depending on which plan you choose, it covers either the 20% or everything after that point. So I think, especially for those people that have a lot of healthcare needs, or if you are planning ahead, if you have maybe a family history of certain health conditions, just know that the supplement plans are just really one of the only ways to limit your healthcare costs.
Yeah, I mean, I think about, some of those like really expensive, like say somebody got a colonoscopy or MRI, those are like really expensive things. And that's what we build under Part B. So I think, yeah, no one will want to pay 20% of all that. That could be a lot of money. So, okay. So
Right.
for the plans, for the actual supplemental plans, what companies offer those, and what would someone need, to know about that piece?
So most of the big insurance companies that you may know offer and sell these types of plans. There are also a lot of life insurance companies that sell these plans. The one good thing to know is that Medicare does control or mandate what these plans have to cover. So there are different categories of supplements. They all go by letters. But with one particular type of plan, it has to cover the exact same things with one company, but also with the others. So no matter which company you go with, the plan has to work the same. So usually the main difference is the price.
Right. So so there's different letters. So like, like plan G and C and N and stuff like that. But you're right. They're identical plans, right? It's just the price that's different.
For the most part, I think the categories now are from A through N. There are certain plans that aren't available to people that are new to Medicare. But yes, for the most part, they are the same. Something newer is that some of the insurance companies have started to offer extra benefits along with those supplement plans. But those extra benefits, those aren't mandated by Medicare. So you would have to check with each individual insurance company to see what they do offer. There are also maybe one more way to compare these is more so based on the rates that they charge and how much the plans or the prices will go up from year to year. So there are some particulars there. I would say if you want to know more information about that, it's definitely helpful or more helpful to speak with someone directly, like a SHIP counselor, just so that you can get more of that specific information.
And so for somebody who is going on one of these supplemental plans or looking for one, they contact them directly, right? They're not contacting Medicare. Is that right?
That's right. And you would have to call the insurance company directly or go to their website to sign up. It is different compared to the other Medicare plans, like the drug plans and the Advantage plans, where you can go to Medicare to sign up. But for the supplements, it is you do have to go directly to the insurance company.
Great. One question I get a lot is, what if I travel outside of the country? Will Medicare, Part A, Part B, my supplemental plan, will I be covered? If I had foreign travel, what do you say to those folks that might be in that situation?
If you don't have a supplement, Medicare doesn't cover you when you're outside of the country. And if you do have a supplement, there are only certain plans that do include coverage in a foreign country, and usually it's a percentage. I believe it's about 80%. And also, sometimes they're very specific about what they will cover. Usually, it's only if you have an emergency that they will cover you, because otherwise, if it is maybe a surgery that you're planning and want to get outside the country, it's not likely that your supplement will cover that.
Great to know. Okay, so we've obviously in our last session we talked about Part A. This session we've talked about Part B. Like, what else do you think people need to know about Medicare Part B?
I think I guess one thing is that if you ever run into an issue where either something isn't being approved or covered, you do have the option to appeal that decision, especially with something like Part A, when you're in the hospital. If you believe that or need a second opinion or want your case to be reviewed, there is an extensive appeal process with Medicare where a lot of times these denials or these decisions are overturned. So it is very worthwhile, because if it does affect your health and really your life, and if you're running into these issues where you aren't getting the healthcare you need, definitely look into appeals to get that covered. And also there are ways to get help with that. So usually your doctor can help you file an appeal, or also SHIP counselors can give you more information about that process.
Perfect. And we'll talk about SHIP for sure. Okay. So now a little bit switching gears, but so we know that there is something that's called original Medicare, and then there is something that's called Medicare Advantage. So perhaps you can break down for everybody what the difference is between the two.
So they are very different. So you really, people that are eligible for Medicare, you have two choices as far as how your Medicare is set up. So you either have original Medicare, so that includes your Medicare Part A, your Part B, usually your drug plan, your Part D plan, and a supplement if you choose to sign up for one. So that's one option. The other option is to sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. And what these are private plans that manage your Medicare benefits. So usually they bundle your Part A, your Part B, and they usually include your drug coverage all into one plan. So that's why there's really two options: either original Medicare or these Advantage plans.
And so on the Medicare Advantage, they're companies that are just like those that offer supplemental plans, right? You're kind of reaching out to the same people, or who offers those?
Right. So for the most part, it's more of the bigger insurance companies. So for example, in Illinois, there would be companies like United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Humana. There are actually, I believe this year, over 50 different Medicare Advantage plans. So you do have a lot of choice as far as how you could be covered under these plans.
Yep, great. Okay, so let's really get in the nitty gritty. Like, what do you like, and what do you maybe dislike about original Medicare? So we're gonna do both here. So in original Medicare, what's like really good about that, and what's maybe not as good if someone chose that way?
Right, yeah, I will mention first. So as a SHIP counselor, we are federally funded, so we're more of an unbiased resource. So we'll never
100%.
tell you, right? We'll never tell you what to sign up for or what if one is better than the other. But I think I would say there is a lot to consider. Or sometimes one way will work better than the other. I mean, one thing that most people like about original Medicare is that you can go anywhere that accepts Medicare. If you go to a different state and you need a doctor appointment that accepts Medicare, you can go there. Whereas with an Advantage plan, usually it's much more regional. Sometimes it can be only in the county that you live in or in the state, depending on the network. And also, I mean, one of the nice things with both, I think, original Medicare and Advantage is that there have been just a lot of improvements made in the last year or so through the Inflation Reduction Act, where costs are being capped or costs are being brought down. So that's definitely, I think, a good thing about original Medicare. As far as what I don't like, I think an important thing to consider, especially with the Advantage plans, because it's been in the news lately, is that a lot of people have run into the issue where either tests or procedures have been denied by these Advantage plans when they weren't supposed to, or they later found out if they appealed that decision, for the vast majority of those cases, the coverage was then approved. So that's one thing, is that with the Medicare Advantage plans, it can be more restrictive, both about where you go to get healthcare, but also about what is approved as far as what your healthcare needs are. So that is something that's, I think, unfortunate, but I think the good thing is that it's gotten a lot of attention, both in the news, but also with Congress. So hopefully that's an issue that'll go away.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I'll tell you what I like and dislike, and you tell me if I'm wrong in any of these scenarios. So, on the original Medicare, I feel the exact same way as you. Like, I like that someone can go to anyone or get like a second opinion, and not have any issues. Kind of, I always like to think of it as like a PPO type of way, right? You're not having to get referrals and stuff like that, where Medicare Advantage is, there's a geographic area, there's a network of providers. And when you don't, go within their network, then you have a different financial responsibility. So it's something you have to, be careful about. I think original Medicare tends to be a bit more expensive, because Medicare Advantage seems to be much more inexpensive if you stay within the network. So it's like in a double-edged sword. It's like, I like original Medicare because you can go anywhere and you can, you have in some ways, a little bit more flexibility. But Medicare Advantage tends to be a little bit cheaper. And so it's like, it's like the risk, which risk do you want to take? Do you want to, be a little bit more conservative and be, maybe spend a little bit more money, but you have a lot more choice and different stuff, or, you kind of be a little bit more restrictive, but yeah, you're saving a couple bucks. I don't know. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, I think you touched on what I think is maybe the most important factor is the cost. Is that if someone can afford a supplement for 10, 15, 20 years, then it's very much likely that having original Medicare with a supplement will just work better for them. But I think what's been happening a lot, and is why the Advantage plans have gotten so popular, where I think now they account for more than 50% of how people get their Medicare benefits, is that the Advantage plans are the only way that someone can have a cap on their healthcare costs. And usually those Advantage plans are free, in that they don't charge you an extra monthly premium. So I think that's one of the challenges I think both people have to face, but also maybe Medicare as a whole has to face, is that it can really come down to what people can afford and the type of healthcare that they can access based on how their Medicare is set up.
Yeah. So can someone go back and forth? Like, say they went on original Medicare first, and then they realize, oh no, this is really expensive, or this is not working for me, and they go to Medicare Advantage, and or vice versa. Can they kind of keep going back and forth?
So they can technically, but it can be difficult, mainly because with the Medicare supplement plans, the insurance companies can deny coverage based on pre-existing conditions, because they will run a health screening, or they can decide to not cover certain diagnoses. So while it's technically possible, either you could run into an issue where you're not offered, or you are denied a plan, or they'll charge you a whole lot more for that supplement compared to maybe what you were paying in years past. That is one positive part of the Advantage plans, is that they don't run any of those health screenings. So you could easily jump between different Advantage plans. But yeah, it can be very difficult and sometimes impossible to go from an Advantage plan back to a supplement if you're outside of what they call the guaranteed issue period for your supplement plan.
Gotcha. So when someone's first coming on, do they ask you about your pre-existing conditions or anything like that? Or is that it's if you only bounce around?
So they will. So when you first are eligible for Medicare Part B, that is that they give you a 6-month guaranteed issue period to sign up for any Medicare supplement plan that you like. But outside of that 6 months, you don't have those protections. The insurance company will still run a health screening on you, but they can't charge you more based on that health screening, and they can't deny you, but only within those first 6 months that
when you're first coming on.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're first coming on, it's more like if later years you're switching back and forth or you're switching companies, then they have the right kind of to deny and ask
Right.
much more in-depth questions, right?
Right. And at least in Illinois, there is only one insurance company that'll, at the very minimum, offer you or sell you a policy. That's Blue Cross Blue Shield, but
Mhm.
they can uh, raise the premium on you based on that health screening.
Gotcha. That's important to know for sure. Okay, so what else would someone need to know, do you think, before they would choose original Medicare versus Medicare Advantage? Anything else? I know we've talked about quite a bit, but is there anything else you think that someone would need to consider before choosing?
Yes, and that I think it just kind of going back to the cost. I think comparing how much in total you will spend in a year for your healthcare costs, I think that's really uh, the best way to plan or to compare these types of plans. Because a lot of times for certain people, you will pay less with either a supplement plan or on the other end, where sometimes people will pay less with an Advantage plan. Also, I would say consider your doctors. If you are set on the doctors that you want to continue seeing, uh, that could affect whether you do or can sign up for an Advantage plan when instead of staying with original Medicare. Um, Definitely the travel, like you mentioned, even if it's within the country, uh,
Mhm.
because it's just generally more restrictive with an Advantage plan about where you can go for healthcare. Um, I think those are definitely the big things to consider, and especially the cost. I think that's usually when I am counseling people. I try to focus more so on the cost, and that way, hopefully, people are able to save as much money as possible.
That makes sense. That makes sense. This is really fantastic. So, okay, so if somebody does make a choice and they really are not happy, so when can they make a change and how does that work?
Right. So there are different enrollment periods. So currently, we are in the open enrollment period. That's between October 15th to December 7th. And what you can do is you can change your Part D prescription plan to either a different prescription plan, or you can sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan. There is also a Medicare Advantage open enrollment period. So that runs from January 1st to the end of March. And that's more so specifically people that are already enrolled in a
Okay,
Medicare Advantage plan as of January 1st. So if that
got
applied to you, that's where you could either change to a different Advantage plan, or you can change back to original Medicare.
that's good to know. I didn't realize that. Okay, so when's the open enrollment time again?
So open enrollment is October 15th to December 7th every year. And then the Medicare Advantage open enrollment is from January 1st to March 31st.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so you and I both know that people are gonna, be away from this and they're gonna be like, I really need resources. I need to know where I can find someone to help me or more information and anything that we've talked about or more today. So what resources do you think that people need to know about?
Yes, so especially during this open enrollment, the senior health insurance program and SHIP counselors like myself, we're here to answer your questions or to get as much information about uh, your Medicare coverage for the next year. We can help you compare the various plans, whether it's the drug plans, the Medicare Advantage plans, even the Medicare supplements. So we're definitely a good unbiased resource because we don't try to influence what your decision one way or another. We're just here to give you as much information as possible. But there are also other resources like AARP, and also if you need more information that you want to look at on your own, the Medicare website, the AgeGuide website, ageguide.org. We have a lot of resources about Medicare if you'd rather tackle this on your own.
Perfect. Those are all really wonderful resources. This has been so great, Val. Thank you so much. This is really valuable information. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but thank you to Val Guzman from AgeGuide for being with us today. Really, your expertise is so appreciated, and we really are so fortunate to have you and just all the knowledge that you have and bringing it all to us today. Obviously, Val, you mentioned multiple resources. All the, going to a SHIP counselor is awesome. AgeGuide, ageguide.org. Certainly Medicare.gov. Medicare's got an awesome website, and they have a plan finder in there. So if you want to compare prices, that always is helpful. So Medicare.gov. And of course, AARP.org/Medicare is a great resource. So we are here for you and want to make sure you have as much information as possible so you can make your best decisions for you or your family. Now, as I mentioned, this is the second virtual event in our series, Medicare Matters with AgeGuide. So we're going to continue to bring meaningful and pertinent information just like this. So we've talked about, we've talked about Part A. We've talked about Part B, the differences between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage. Whew, that's a lot already, right? So you and I know what's next. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about Medicare Part D, all about prescription drugs, right? That's a big one. So can't wait for the next one because that's going to be a doozy. In the meantime, feel free, everybody who's listening, if you are interested in other topics, please put in the chat things that you want to hear from us on or learn more about. And of course, look for us next time because we are going to talk all about prescription drugs. But looking forward to seeing you soon. And thank you so much. Have a great day.